Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin, amma ba'd. Thank you to Brother Chairperson, and thank you also for the introduction. The committee members of Sisco, Sheikh Ismail Shahbuddin, what's that? Sisco stand for?
Council for Visionary
Council for
Leadership.
Visionary Leadership. All right. So this center or this unit has been established mainly to offer discourses or to organize discussion on leadership. And Alhamdulillah, today we are here to discuss, right, exchange views, inshallah, here in the concept of leadership. Yes, just now Brother Chairperson mentioned about the approach that IIUM adopts, which is Tawhidic paradigm. Right, if you enter the university, the gate, you can see that big billboard written there, Tawhidic epistemology, leading the way ummah to excellence. Right, the word leading is there. Right, so but we have been uttering the word leading, leadership, leaders, perhaps without actually knowing the meaning of it. Right, and when we talk about Tawhidic paradigm, we have to know something, we have to know a subject in Tawhidic paradigm. What is Tawhidic paradigm? What do you know of Tawhidic paradigm? We're not talking about Tawhid here, we're talking about Tawhidic paradigm. What are we talking about? Are we talking about Tawhid or are we talking about paradigm? I mean, written ubiquitously is Tawhidic epistemology. Right? Are we talking about Tawheed or are we talking about epistemology? So which is which now? Right? So we are going to look at leadership from Tawhidic perspective as well. Tawhidic paradigm. Right? When we talk about Tawheed, we are talking about unification. We're talking about unifying. We're talking about uniting knowledge, uniting sources of knowledge, one of them. Right? Uniting knowledge or uniting sources of knowledge. I've not gone through any slides. I'm just telling the audience on the approach that we are taking, which is Tawhidic paradigm. And Tawhidic paradigm is not an agenda recently introduced by the new rector. It is an ethos, it is a concept, it is a mission written in the university establishment. I believe when you want to enroll or apply to IIUM, you must have gone to the prospectus, now online prospectus, where the word Tawheed is mentioned. Right? So IIUM is established to offer education which is based on Tawhidic paradigm. What is Tawheed? Tawheed, we know that the process to affirm the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So that is Tawheed. But we're talking about Tawhidic paradigm here. The paradigm of knowledge that we adopt here is based on Tawhidic approach. What's Tawhid? We unify, we unite, we integrate. Right? So everything that we are talking, everything that we are doing, everything that we are addressing, we are using this Tawhidic paradigm. Like when we want to know the concept of leadership, we do not only go to the mainstream literature. We do not go to only the Western text, or we do not only go to the Quranic Hadith text, but we combine them. Right? We combine them in order to understand the meaning of Iqra, for example. We deliberate, we discuss, we ask scholars' view. Right? We do not only look at the literal meaning. Right? Yeah, we know language can be translated, but we do not only look at the literal meaning. We go to the what we call all the dimensions of linguistic. We go to the morphology, we go to the syntax, we go to the semantic, we go to the rhetoric, we go to what else? Pragmatic, right? So this is everything that we have to take into account. That is Tawheed, right? So in Tawhidic epistemology, you want to know leadership, like we are going to know more about leadership today. What are our sources? Our sources are Quran, Hadith, scholars' view, empirical work, local culture, all right, and knowledge of the current space and time. We unify all those in order to have meaning. Now, this is the spirit of Iqra as well. You read, what do you read? Ayat al-Maqru'ah, which is Quran. You read ayats, which are given, which are shown by Allah in the signs, in the ayat. It has provided or endowed to us. Right? So this is Tawhidic paradigm. We want to know something not from one source but from various sources. And when we know something, it is not only about knowing. Right? We now know the sources of information about leadership, so that we know the reality of leadership. So what is leadership? Today we are going to talk about the actual meaning of leadership. Do we put a full stop there? No. We have to also learn the values of leadership. We have to know also the valuable practices when you are a leader. Right? That is the third dimension of knowledge. The fourth dimension of knowledge is we have to know the purpose of knowing this leadership. Now that you want to know more about leadership, you want to know more about what a leader is, you want to know more about what is the meaning of leading. So what is the purpose of knowing that? What is the purpose of you coming to this knowledge discussion? Is it because of certificate? Is it because of friend? Or is it because of the takeaway that you want to use later on when you go back to your community? Right? So these are the four dimensions of knowledge which we have to unify as well. We have to tawhidize the current languages. We have to tawhidize. We have to tawhidize epistemology with the reality of the subject. We talk about ontology here. Right? So we have to know also the values of knowledge that we are now talking about. Right? So you have heard of the word axiology. You're doing PhD, right? So when you're doing PhD, you have to know the philosophical dimensions of the subject matter that you are working with, that you are digging, that you are exploring. And the last one is the purpose, the teleology, the maqasid. Right? So whenever you are dealing with any subject matter, you have to know the source, epistemology. You have to know the reality about that subject matter, right? The depth of it, not only the surface, not only touching and going, no. Right? So you have to go deep. In order to know it in a deep manner, you have to go to sources, Quran, Hadith, Torah, empirical work, current, previous, right? And anything that related to the subject matter. Not only that, you do not want to only know. There are many knowledgeable people now, but you see, they don't have values. How many educated people that we have in the world now? Every year in Malaysia, for example, we have nurtured or produced about 200,000 graduates. Or in other words, we have flooded the Malaysian society with educated people. But do we want to have only educated people, but no values? Now, the third dimension is values. Right? So in Islam, adab comes first before knowledge. You know about leadership, so how do you lead? What are the values of a leader? And the last one is maqasid, the teleology of knowledge. So in Ahas, we talk about EOT. Epistemology, ontology, axiology, teleology of knowledge. So we combine all this. This is the Tawhidic paradigm that we adopt in IIUM. We do not only transmit knowledge to you, but we want you to go further. When you are given something, when you are informed of something, you are going to go to other sources as well. You are going to dig further on what you have heard of, tabayyun. Right? So that you have wider principle, you have wider discussion, you have wider reality, you have more reality about the reality of the subject matter that you're dealing with. And it's not only the knowledge that you have, the values, the invaluable practices, as well as the purposes. Right? So that is the premise of our discussion today. Okay, standing on Tawhidic paradigm, we want to know why we are leading, why we want to lead, and what are leadership referring to, and what are leaders doing in that sense. All right, so let's start with some questions. Okay, what is leadership? I mentioned three at least terms: leadership, leader, leading. What's leadership? It's a concept. What's a leader? A person. What's leading? Activity. Right? So what is leadership? Who qualifies as a leader? Who can be a leader? Is there anyone who cannot be a leader? Is there any exception that someone cannot be a leader? Right, so you're looking at that. When is leadership most needed? When? When do we need leadership? Where does leadership emerge? Is it only in offices? Is it also happening in classroom, communities? Or when crisis, for example, like we have so many crisis time, COVID is one of the example, right? So we need We see many leaders emerge during that time too. What challenges test the integrity? What challenges test the effectiveness? What challenges test the purpose of leaders? So there are challenges. There are increasingly challenging situations that require us to play a leadership role, although we are not a leader. Right? So leadership is important characteristic that you need, although you are not a leader, because there are many times that you have to lead. So you have to do leading tasks, although you are not a leader. Right? So that you need leadership qualities. That in that sentence, okay, like we say that you are not a leader, but you need leadership qualities. Because there are times that you have to do leading. Yeah? All right, next. So what is leadership? Another questions again, right? This will be a takeaway, leadership. What is a leader? When do we need leader, or when do we need leadership? Where do we find leader? Where do we find leadership? And what are the challenges in the leadership? Okay, next. Okay, leadership and leaders, or leader and leadership. Alhamdulillah, okay, we are the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, and every day we offer salawat to him. We will say salam, we say dua to him. But if you realize, and when do you recite salawat to Prophet? I recited once just now. When do you recite salawat to Prophet? Huh? In salah? In salah? In your recitation of tahiyyah? Right. Yes, so like just now I said, what did I say? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Did I stop there? Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. So we make also dua to the people, to the Sahaba, to the companion of the Prophet, to the followers of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu. So what does this mean? This means that when you are talking about a leader, you are talking also about followers. Right? We're talking about followers as well. There is no leader when there is no follower. Right? So the success, the efficiency, the effectiveness of a leader, okay, is also determined by the presence of others, the presence of followers, companions in that sense. Right? So let's look at the definition, general definition of a leader. Right? So a leader is an individual, so it refers to a person. It's not a process. It's not a process, it's not a state, it's not a condition, but it refers to a person. Right? So refer to a person here within a group. Okay, you require a group. Right? So when does a group happen? What is a group? 2 person. When there is 2 person or 3 person or more than 2 person, you study psychology, right? You study industrial organization psychology. So we define group. Okay, group happens or exists when there is one or more individuals. Right? An individual within a group or individual within an organization. What does the person hold? The person holds influence. The person holds influence over others. He has influence over others. Maybe he doesn't want to exercise the influence, but he is an influential person. Right? He has that authority. You say aura. You have that aura. Right? So he holds influence over others. At times, leader also uses influence over others. There are times that we have to use influences. We have to use influence because you yourself cannot, automatically influence others. But when you are a leader, when you have some good leadership qualities, your presence would naturally influence other people, right? To do whatever you aspire them to do, or they themselves aspire to do in that sense. So our task as leader, right, is to realize their aspiration, whether the aspiration is our aspiration or their aspirations or common aspirations. All right? So leadership here refer to not a person. Leadership is the process. It's a process. Leadership is a process. Although you are not a leader or not yet a leader, you have to be in this process. Like when you are together with your friend, you are actually exercising or using or practicing leadership. Because you are doing a process to convince your friend to go to certain shop, for example, to go to certain eatery that involve influence, although you are not exercising influence. But there are times when your friend exercises the influence, right? The process whereby an individual influences other group members. Why do they influence? For what reason? Leadership is to influence other group members for certain reason, right? Other group members towards the attainment of defined group goal, the attainment of organizational goal. Any personal goal? Any personal goal here? So if you are using your influence or power, okay, to get someone to realize your personal goal, that is not leadership. What is that? Not leadership lah. Maybe dictatorship. Right? So you have many leaders nowadays. Right? Do they have this quality? Are they using their influence or their capabilities or competencies to inspire you, okay, to work with them or to work for them to attain the organizational goals or for personal goals? Every day also in the in Salah you recite this, right? Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi ta'ala, not ourselves. Right? So leaders, they use whatever capability and competency that they have to inspire others. The word used is influence. So the word influence here doesn't have to be necessarily negative. Right? Because you use your influence or you are influential in bringing people in attaining the organizational goals or group goals or common goal or collective goals, not personal goal. So if you are using your power or your position, okay, to get people work for you to attain your personal goal, then you are not using or you are not doing leadership. You're using or doing dictatorship, perhaps. Like, I believe that you also read the updates on newspapers. Nowadays, in Malaysia, for example, there are many cases being reported about leader, okay, not attaining or not inspiring or inspiring their people to work towards common goal, but towards what? Losing the organizational or country's goal. So, but they claim that they are leaders and they want to become leaders as well. All right, next. So, more about leadership. So, which one are we actually doing more? Leadership may be defined as a process. Again, it is a process. To what? To influence, to communicate, to inspire. What do we communicate? To communicate, first is to influence others, especially subordinates, students, followers. Okay? To influence them in their activities. To lead them, you say leading the way for ummatic excellence, for example, so that their activities are geared towards meeting the goal of their organization. Like, why are you busy? Like, you are busy because you see that there is a goal that you have to help attaining. You are not being busy unnecessarily. People feel stressed out nowadays because they can't see the common goal or they can't see the WIMF-M goal. You know what WIMF-M is? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Now, questions that come to many leaders is WIMF-M. What's in it for me? Before you want to do something or before you want to take any task, before you receive any appointment, you are going to ask, what's in it for me? Now, before we appoint you to become head of department, you will check how many classes that I'm going to teach. Is there any reduction of courses? Will I be given special parking space? Will I be given honorarium? You know, so these are the questions that come first, right? So rather than, do I have the competencies to contribute to this IIUM? Do I have the capability? Will I be given training so that I am able to, lead the way, lead the students, lead the community, lead the society to attain what IIUM has aspired for the community? Right. So leadership is to influence others so that others, especially subordinate, in our case, students, followers, would take necessary actions in their activities so as to achieve the desired goal, not personal goal. Right? So this is to be corrected. IIUM is established to bring back the supremacy and dignity of the Ummah. Right? So we want our Ummah to be led by people with high level of that thinking of WIMF-M. What's in it for me? But what's in it for the society in that sense? To communicate, to encourage, to empower. Okay, the word communicate, to inform. What do you have to communicate? Resources, information about resources. Whenever there are resources, you share, you let your people know. You do not take it for yourself. Some leaders, when there are resources, they have to benefit them first. Right, to communicate information, to communicate negative, positive information, productive information to the community. Okay, to encourage as well. Now, some people feel down. Okay, they don't feel motivated. Okay, they feel loss of motivation. So this is the position, this is the role of leader, to encourage, to empower as well, to give them power. Okay, to give them what we call the ability, to enable as well. Without the presence of leader, we are not able to even think. Okay, nobody is here for us to what we call that navigate the way of thinking, right? So this is enable, to empower. So leader is to enable us, or leader is to empower us. They're not to abuse or use us. Okay, leader is not to use us. We work with our leader. We're not working for our leader. It's different, huh? Working with and working for. We are working with our leader so that our leader will bring our organization to the right height or to the greater height as aspired, okay, in the missions of the organization. Support others, right? So last time during COVID time, the leadership direction that we took was FSS, facilitate, support and scaffold. Yeah, the university during that time facilitate learning processes. We facilitate teaching processes. We empower our teachers to change from what we call that conventional, conservative teaching to online teaching. But we did not just ask, but we train them first. We empower. We facilitate, we support, giving them some support, and also scaffold. So for those who do not, feel comfortable or competent to take up online classes, we give scaffold. There was someone who are working with the person, with the lecturer, for example. Right. So this is to support, facilitate, and scaffold until they are competent in that sense. Same with the students as well, right? Okay, so that they are able to achieve own goals, group goals, institutional goals. When we say personal goals just now, we are not denying their personal goal at all. We also acknowledge their personal goal, which are aligned with our organizational goal. That's why when we include people to work with us, we want to know their personal goal as well, whether their personal goal can be aligned with our organizational goal, so that we celebrate both. We celebrate organizational goal, okay, which is in tandem with the personal goal. Most of people who want to work in IIUM are people who want to do Islamization, for example. So their goal is to do Islamization, and that goes very well with our missions, which is Islamization as well. So there is a good match between personal goal and also organizational goal for that matter. First, that second done. Now the third one is to inspire support. To inspire support. What is inspire? What's inspire? The word inspire is easily said than done. That the way I want to inspire you is different from the way I inspire the other person because of the different personality. Right? So as leader, you have to have knowledge as well about your followers. Right? So because you need to empower rather than use or give directive. We are going to come across with the word coercive after this. We do not use coercive power, but knowledge power in inspiring others. We are not going to dictate, but influence by inspiring them, by supporting them, and also by scaffolding them. Right? Support and to inspire support, to inspire confidence among people. The support and confidence are needed for them to achieve goals. Plural, personal, which is in tandem with organizational and maybe national goal as well. Okay, next. Right, so just now leadership, right? So now leaders make people think. Now, you need leader because sometimes you do not know how to think. You go to your leader, you go to your boss, you go to your group leader, you go to your teacher because you want them to lead you in thinking. Because your thinking might be to this direction. Right? So your teacher or your leader might be able to bring you to some line of thought. Right? So leader make people think, make people believe, make people see or people do what they might not have thought, what they might not have believed, or what they might not have seen or done without the leader's presence. So with the leader's presence, our thinking would be better. Our doing, our actions can be improved, right? Because they give feedback. Right? And then you are going to allow them to give feedback to you as well for you to improve your actions or behavior. A leader is not the one who gives directives, who do not like to give directive or to give order. And you do not like them to give order as well, right? You do not want to have leaders who are shouting at you every time they want you to do something. They say that they want to inspire you, but they shout at you. You do not want that, right? So they are not a good leader, or they are not leader to you, but dictator, perhaps. Okay, I mean, literature always say the opposite of leader is dictator, because dictator doesn't inspire, but they make you work for certain goal. Maybe organizational goal as well, but in an coercive manner. A leader does not regulate the workers. He don't regulate workers, but he is the one who takes actions, works together with the employees, leading by example. Sometimes they don't have to tell you what to do, but you emulate their behavior. Okay? The learning happens because of modeling, not because of giving instruction. A leader trusts, a leader coaches subordinates to do well in their performance. They do not only give feedback, comment, critics, but from the very beginning they give supervision, guidance, and coaching. Okay, teaching, coaching, training are the desirable characteristics of leaders. Next. Now, we talk about leader, we talk about group, right? So we want to see the position of leader in society. First, we define group. A group of people who live together in a community, or they work together in an organization or institution. This includes family as well. Classroom setting, right? Your hostel, when you travel together, right? So this can be regarded as group. So group members have common goals in the organization society, or they have common purposes. So in IIUM, do we have common purposes? Why people enroll in IIUM? It is very unfortunate if people come to IIUM without knowing the purposes which are in tandem with the IIUM purposes. Right? So since how many years ago? 49. How many years IIUM has been established? It was in 1983, right? 47. 42 years. Right? So IIM was established because of that purpose, to bring back the supremacy and dignity of Muslim through education services. Right? So we want to bring people from all over the world, right, so that they can return to their community to lead them. And this is an instruction in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah 122. That you have to come here, right, seek knowledge, deep knowledge, so that you are able to go back to your community, lead them, tell them how to develop life, how to have good life, hasanah fi dunya wal akhirah. Right, so that is the purpose of education that we aim to achieve. That is the maqasid. Right? So in a group of individuals working together in an institution, is also regarded as society. So on a bigger picture, there are various levels, various types of community whom we serve from different population societies. From small, right, like siblings, family, and then you have nibblings, you have big family, extended family society, workplaces, country, and even the world. Ummah he'll talk about. Right, so what are our challenges being the leaders of our societies? So what are your challenges when you go back to your society? You are going to deal with, not confront, you are going to deal with various challenges, which you are not going to avoid, but approach. With the leadership qualities that you have, you are going to lead them to deal with the challenges. Like, generally, the challenges are, next. Okay, so we can go back to the challenging situation. What are the challenging situations that we are currently facing, or that we are going to continue facing, or that we have been facing before this? Next, please. Okay. So the increasingly changing environment, increasingly challenging environment, attributed to various demands. How do you describe your current environment? How do you describe your current environment? Like we have different challenges in our own society, right? Not the same. But there are some common characteristics that leaders have to hold, internalize, and practices when we want to deal with challenges. We deal with too much information. Nowadays, we deal with too much information. So when we have too much information, what happened to us? We have choices. Because we have too much information, we have too much choices as well. We have choices in life, at work life, family life, at many levels of life. So we need to nurture harmonized existence of individuals, right? Because information that we have about other people will lead us to form attitude. Some are negative attitude, some are what? Positive attitude. Negative attitude, positive attitude. You read newspaper. In addition to newspaper, you listen to portals. You also read social media. You also receive information on your WhatsApp. Okay? And this information would lead to attitude formation. You compare notes sometimes. So you form formation. Oh, I do not like this race because of this. I do not like this race because of that. So what if you do not have those information? The possibility of negative attitude that you form is less. Now, because of that too much information, you have too much choice as well. I want to hate or I want to like. I want to live harmoniously or I have to avoid these people. So what are the leaders' role here? How do leaders deal with this too much information? How do they bring people down, calm them down in that sense? So we as leaders need to nurture harmonious existence of individuals and their coexistence with others, short-term wise and long-term wise. Because of there's too much information, we create what? Lack of harmony or absence of harmony in our society or in our organizations as well. Okay, leaders need to develop harmonious life, minimize disruptive scenarios, so that leaders need to equip individuals and society with the right competencies, right knowledge, right skills, right attitude, okay, right characteristics, other characteristics. So we are going to look at the characteristics of leaders, whereby we are going to emphasize these ourselves. In order to become leader, you do not only need ambition, right? You do not only need wishes or ambition. You do not need only to develop supporters or followers. You need knowledge. Knowledge about leadership, knowledge about the context, knowledge about people that you are leading, knowledge about demand needs by the current time and space. You have to have the skill to talk to people. You have to have the skill to inspire people. You have to have the skill to calm people down. You have to have skills so that people would develop common goals. You have to have the ability. Okay, you do not have the knowledge, you do not only have the skill, but you have the ability. You have to go out and do. You cannot just talk. You have to have the ability. So this is why in IIUM we develop ability. We create assignment for you so that you have the experience. So that we are against free riding, because free riding will not expose you to ability acquisition. Right? So you free ride, you do not acquire the ability. You might have the knowledge, you might know the how to do, but you do not know how to realize it, how to manifest it. And the most important thing is also your adapt, your ethics. We do not want only to be regulated by rules and regulation. We do not want rules and regulation to navigate our behavior, but our own ethics, our own values, our own akhlaq. The Prophet Muhammad SAW was sent to complete the akhlaq, right? So if we have enough akhlaq, so you do not have to have enforcement, because you are going to be enforced, you are going to be regulated by the knowledge that you have. Knowledge about do's, knowledge about don'ts. So leaders have to have these competencies to navigate, to regulate themselves from within. At the same time, they also inspire their people to regulate their followers behavior from within as well. Yep, okay, next. Have you heard of VUCA? Have you heard of VUCA? 30 years ago, when there was Cold War, right, our society become more complex. Become very complex and more complex. World have become so very volatile because of movement, because of transaction. World has become so very uncertain, complex, and also ambiguous because of so many changes, especially technology. Right? It was 30 years ago. But when COVID time came, this scenario, the complex scenario, the volatile scenario, the uncertain scenario, and the ambiguous scenario have caused severe implication or consequences, not to the society but to individuals. The complexity, the severity of the consequences have now entered individual level, so much so that individuals become brittle. Brittle, I mean, you are easily feeling depressed, breakdown. So many mental health cases. Our guru, Professor Malik Badri, in the year 2020, before his demise, has gathered us all online, right? I mean, he had given a lecture on preparing psychologists to face the next wave of pandemic, which is mental health. True enough, nowadays the rate or the statistics of mental health is on the rise because of this descriptor, brittle. People have become so very fragile now. On our campus, okay, we have increasing statistics, Dr. Mohsin, right, on mental health situations, even among staff members as well. Right? Fragile, breakable state of being, and this is attributed to what? Catastrophic phenomena as a result of many or various present scenarios, economically, socially, right, financially, and also natural disaster as well. Anxiety. People are facing or living with anxiety. Many people are living with anxiety now, right? So uncertainties in life has caused people to have fear, high level of fear. Yeah, they also experience negative consequences. Non-linear, they're disconnected and disappropriate. Last time people want to enter or join university because they know that by being a graduate, they can get better job. With better job, they can get good salary. But that situation is not the case anymore. You can become, income generator even without coming to university. And even with degree, it doesn't guarantee you to have good job. Non-linear. It has become non-linear nowadays. Right? So the example given is kindness is not appreciated anymore. People do not appreciate kind people, but people appreciate people with money more nowadays. If you have money, you can give us some money, I respect you. If you are being kind to me, maybe I can just say thank you. Right? But I don't adore you much as I adore you if you give me money in that sense. Incomprehensible. We can't understand this. There are many unexplained phenomena that we are dealing with nowadays. And are we going to deal this alone? We need leaders as well. Our leaders must not only talk about economy, must not only talk about racial harmony, but must also talk about our well-being, how to enhance well-being, how to take care of our spiritual well-being as well. They're leader in spiritual well-being, not only in economic well-being, but spiritual well-being. Okay? How many leaders nowadays are talking about spiritual well-being? Right? Inshallah, Malaysia is one of them. Right, to talk about spiritual well-being as well. We have now this education plan which give back values to humanities. Right, so our education plan, if you listen, is now being led by someone who prioritize humanity-centric development rather than mechanical training in that sense. Okay, next. So challenges, these are the challenges that we can translate from that Bani scenario just now. So from VUCA, people, nowadays we are talking about Bani scenario. And if you follow discussions on changes in our society or socio-economic scenario, you might have come across with post-normal time as well. Post-normal time description. All right, so leaders need to know all this because they have to position themselves well in the community. Not for themselves, but to bring their people, their followers, their community to good well-being, what we call hasana. Every day we recite, right? Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adzaban nar. We recite. But what are our actions to realize this hasana? And what are the rules of leaders to empower and enable the followers to reach hasana? And I think it is incumbent upon leaders in whatever level, whatever capacity, to help, enable, empower people to reach that level hasana here and also in the hereafter. Right, next. Okay, solution. Leaders to adopt a number of strategies. Right, number one is what? At-taghyir, right? At-tanmiyah. At-taghyir wa at-tanmiyah. So there are many verses in the Quran and also tradition or hadith of the Prophet which focuses on this. Right, so we have to develop. What do we develop? We develop knowledge. Like I mentioned just now, we have to have knowledge about leadership. We have to have skills about leadership. We have to have abilities about leadership. We have to have also other characteristic, good personality, good ethic of being a good leader. Right? We have to have knowledge about people whom we are dealing with. If you are going to become leader in India, you have to know the profile of people in India. If you want to become leader in Malaysia, then you have to know the profile of Malaysian, followers of society. Seek knowledge, yes, seek knowledge. Meaning you have to take the effort to know who are you dealing with. You have to also be updated with new knowledge and skills. Okay, engage various levels. Do not operate alone. Do not lead alone. You have to have assistance. Just now we recite salawat, not only the Prophet, we also say dua to the companion because they have great role that they play together with the Prophet. It means that leader needs assistance, support, and also facilitation by people in his surrounding. You engage. You have to mobilize support. Mobilize support when you have to lead others. Do not work alone. Do not operate alone. Otherwise, okay, you might not be able to reach your goal. What more to get people attaining their goals? Develop citizenry. What is citizenry? Good members. Citizenry is not only for country. Citizenry is also for organization. Develop citizenry for people, among people in the society, or develop knowledgeable members, right? Develop knowledge, provide them with knowledge as well, right? So that they can position themselves well to get good well-being for themselves here and also hereafter. Next. All right, leadership characteristics. So these are the qualities of leadership which have been derived from the Quran. And if you go to the traits of leadership that I have listed here, you can also find them in mainstream literature, right? So what I have written there are the main traits of leaders which have been derived from Quran, and we have also used terms that correspond to the traits that I have listed. Knowledgeable. So leaders must be knowledgeable. We have talked about the knowledge just now. Not only knowledge about leadership, not only knowledge about people, knowledge about everything that they are in. If you are a leader in university, you have to have knowledge about university. If you are in businesses, you have to have knowledge about businesses. You have to have knowledge about the current time, the current space as well. Right, so when we talk about education leadership, we need to also scan the knowledge of the futures. We have to also have knowledge about future time, future context. Right, so and then humble, don't be arrogant. You are responsible. You have the amanah. You have the mas'uliyah when you are a leader because you are bringing people to hasanah, right? So lead with purpose. The purpose is for the community, not for yourself, right? You have to have integrity. Okay, this is something very important. Many people or many leaders take this for granted or ignore this at all, so that they are people without integrity. What is integrity? Strength. Integrity means strength. Academic integrity means you have sound knowledge. When you have leadership integrity means you have strong, because resilient. You have also strength. You have strong or sound mechanism, defense mechanism. Whenever there are temptation, you are strong. You are sound. You are not succumbing. You are not allowing yourself to succumb to temptation. That's integrity. Right? So people talk about integrity when they talk about bribery, corruption, right? Yes, when you are a leader, you are exposed to many temptations. Right? So you have to stand strong. You have to remain strong, sound. Then you have strong integrity or high integrity. Fair and ardent, okay, adaptive and resilient, humanity-centric. Right? So Khalifa, humble, accountable, leading with purpose, integrity, fair and just, adaptive and resilient, humanity and centered. If you start with the first letter, you will form an acronym Khalifa there. Okay? Okay, next. Right, so this is a diagram. This is a diagram for you to see the goal of a leader. Okay, a leader is to bring hasanah. Okay, we said just now a dua. Okay, characterized by harmonious existence of man, within man or with man, with the environment, and also with the Creator. Hablum minan nas wa hablum min Allah. Right, so a leader, you are going to relate with people, you are also relating with your Lord. The same thing, you are making your people relating well with other people, you are making them relating themselves well with the Creator as well. So that is the maqasid, the teleology that I mentioned in the first section of the talk. The main component of well-being, yeah, peace. You want to create peace, you want to enable our people to live with peace or to work in peace. Next, tolerance, not bigotry. Yeah, no bias. Yeah, you are cooperative, you can work with others, you can accommodate others' weaknesses, you also admit your own weaknesses, you leverage on others' strength in that sense. Mercy, not violence. Right? We use the word non-coercive. Leader doesn't use coercive power. You do not use power, but you inspire, you support, you facilitate. You scaffold your subordinate so that they are willing, they are ready, they are passionate to work with you. To work with you in attaining the organizational goals, which is also in tandem with their personal goals. Right? So both are happy here. Right? So mercy, like you work with compassion, benevolence when you are dealing with people. Right? Okay, love, no hate. Okay, leaders love us. We love leaders. Is it happening? Or leaders have enemies? Do we create likable people, or do we create enemies? Huh? It depends on you as well. Whether you manage to inspire them, then they will love you. Even with your small act, they will start to like and love you in that sense. You have the choice as well, to make enemy or to make friends or followers. The Prophet Muhammad SAW, we have not met him, right? But we love him because of the approaches, because of the behaviors, because of his hadith statement that we read in that sense. Assertive, not acquiescent. What's assertive? What's acquiescent? Leader is assertive. Okay, when you found something not right, you are going to address it. I say address. You are not going to straight away critique, reject, blame, or shame the person. But you are going to send message that this is to be improved, corrected, or further developed. You're not going to say that this is right. Assertive means you are principles orientated. But you are not acquiescent. What's acquiescent? You are not practicing acquiescence as well. I mean, every time people come and show you work, you say, yes, very good, very good, very good. Whenever people ask you opinion, you always say yes, 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 without knowing what it is all about. So you are not acquiescent, you are not what we call the yes man here. Right? So you are being assertive. Fair, you are being fair, right? You put, something at its right place, right? Being fair, you do not discriminate. You promote and you also act positive work behaviors, not counterproductive. What's counterproductive? The opposite of positive. The opposite of productive work. Like, people come to you, show to you their good achievement, for example. What do? You will compliment them, right? You will reinforce them, give them gift, for example. Counterproductive might be done by saying, oh, I can also do this, or this is nothing. Many people have done this. That's counterproductive. Right? So you are not promoting them to do good job. You are not encouraging them to do good performance, but you are going against it in that sense. What are the enablers for the development of the above core qualities or core values? First, spiritual values. You have to know what are you, what are your responsibility, what are your amanah. Okay, so you know that you are sent by Allah on this earth to become Khalifah. We are vicegerents of this world. What is Khalifah? Inni ja'alun fil ardi Khalifah. Our Ustad say that Khalifah is a process to safeguard deen, to safeguard religion, and to administer this world. Right, so this is our task. Although you are not being appointed as a manager or as a prime minister, you have this duty to safeguard the deen, to safeguard the way of life, to safeguard religion, at the same time to administer the world. What are there on this world? Many. Right? Living thing, non-living thing, you are going to administer this. Khalifah. Right? So yes, so that is the spiritual values that you hold, being a leader. Okay, your culture, your personality. Okay, you have to know your personality as well, whether you are what we call that extroverted person, introverted person, openness to experience or not, having good emotional stability or otherwise. You have to know your personality so that you can position yourself well, you can also deal with yourself well. Know the culture where you come from, so that you do not go against their culture or your culture. Okay? Education is important, yes. Nowadays people look at credential, but credential alone is not enough. You have to always continue to update your knowledge. Okay, proactive communication. Communication must be inspiring. Good interaction with technology. You have to update yourself with the current technology, AI and whatnot. AI is to support you, but not to lead you or not to corrupt you. Yeah, you have to have knowledge on rules of laws, and you have to know also what sustainable development is. You know that you are leading people to good quality of life, but not by using all resources. You have to make sure that there are resources that you keep for the next generation as well. You develop people not only for their benefit, but for the benefit of people who come after them. All right? Okay, the fundamental leadership, religion, knowledge, and wisdoms. Right, so I think I end here. Thank you very much. Bila taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Basically, from the people who are listening to you. I mean, it is both ways. Second thing, from personal experience of dealing with these academicians, the professors, the students, and administrators, what was the most daunting, the challenging things which were happening regularly, and how you were tackling it?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Dr. Syed Mohsin, Associate Professor Dr. Syed Mohsin, for the points and also observation, I think questions too. Yes, your questions are going to be answered in a book. Now, there are a number of former office bearers in the university. We recently met, we exchanged thoughts on what we have done in our offices, and we decided to write books, which are not citing any findings, but registering or documenting our own experience. Yeah. Your first question is on how do we deal with...
Learn from our subordinates?
Yeah, okay. How do we learn from our colleagues rather?
Colleagues.
Okay, now first thing first, we realize that we are working in academia. Working in academia. What's academia? Academia is a knowledge center. We are working in a knowledge center whereby the knowledge workers are working with us. We are only part of the knowledge workers. Our tasks, our duties, our responsibilities are to make sure that these knowledge workers are delivering their tasks, duties responsibilities as per prescribed by the university. You can take that line. Now, I want to deliberate. Who are knowledge workers? Knowledge workers are, in our university, professors, associate professors, assistant professors, lecturers, as well as undergraduates and postgraduates. Rarely we use the word student. We use undergraduates and postgraduate. Now, we tried our best, but it doesn't work well so much. People still want to use the word student. But recently, the government has also underscored that we are not going to use the word student. We are going to use the word learners. All of us are learners. In academia, even me, myself, are learners. Because we do research, because we want to learn more. But reality of a subject that we are dwelling, that we are generating in that sense. We are all learners. Okay, so we deal with learners. Okay, we want to make sure that their work, their job performance are in line with the aspiration, missions of the university. Right? Okay, so we have to always bear the head that we are dealing with colleagues. When we deal with colleagues, they are not our subordinates. Because one day, I will be their subordinate as well. I will be Dr. Mohsin's subordinate as well, if we can use the term subordinate. Right? I have to be working for or with him as well. I will be listening to his view or directive one day, because in university, position is not what we call that permanent. Administrative position is not permanent. Administrative position is rotational. You are being there just to make sure that the university mission are being accordingly accomplished, delivered and attained. That is the amanah that we always bear in our mind. That we always remind our Kulliyyah management meeting that we are here not to serve ourselves. I can say that we put our research and publication aside. Unlike before we became the office bearers. We give total of our hours and energy to making sure that the leadership roles or the leader's role are being actually accomplished. Whom do we deal with? We deal with colleagues, professors, associate professors, assistant professors, people who are on study leave as well, their supervisors, right? So those are our, what we call that, network. We also work with students, especially postgraduate, because they are also knowledge generator. You are knowledge generator as well. You are generating knowledge as well. Now, your knowledge that you document will be shelved in the university library for long. And now that you have to also publish. So we have to make sure that this also take place in line with IIUM philosophy. We also deal with undergraduates. We have to make sure that they are ready. They are ready to pursue postgraduate. They are ready to go to the world of life, not only to the world of work. Being at IIUM, we are not preparing you to only enter the world of work, but the world of life. I'm not only training students to become a workforce, I'm also training you to become a good mother, good wife, good daughter-in-law, okay, good society member as well. So those are the ideas which sometimes are not uttered, but we have to do it in that sense. But the teleology is clear for us that we are nurturing human being, not producing. We're not producing. We have to be busy with process, right? We have to be busy with process. We have to make sure that the process are being adhered to, because research, empirical work says that if you follow this process, this will be the outcome, not only output, outcome as well. We measure the outcome, but these are not sometimes being uttered out or shared or documented. But this is the aspiration. So we cannot work alone. Any decision that I want to make, even a small memorandum to be issued, we engage at least the Kulliyyah management committee. Right? So we talk about deanery as opposed to dean. Okay? Because we didn't want to use the word dean, because that would mean a solo decision. So instead of dean, we use the word deanery, it shows collective decision. Every time, every decision that we make, it is based on collective decision. Right? So being the dean, I have to always mobilize. Engage and mobilize. although it is an easy decision to be made and distributed, but I choose not to do that because it has to be engaging, has to be facilitating, has to be collective. Because I believe that the consequence, the level of receptive is higher if it is collective, if it is engaging in that sense. That's my first question answered, right?
Yes, yes.
Second one is what?
What was the most frequent challenge being in that position?
Yeah, the frequent challenge is because of the difficulty to communicate. We cannot blame our people because their personality level is different. Their personality type is different. The way I deal with you is different with the way I deal with someone else. Right? So difficulty happens when that someone else is of different personality. There are people who have this positive affectivity. There are people with negative affectivity. I'm lucky because I learned psychology. So this is something that I use to explain why the condition happened. Right? So the difficulty is how to qulil haq. Right? I think I always check with my Arabic teacher and also Arabic department friends, the phrase qulil haq walau kana murran. Right, so you have to say the truth even though it is bitter. Right, so the word kana murran refer to not the truth but the process to tell truth. I take the qulil haq as a phrase, like you have to still look for the best way to communicate the bitter thing, and not keeping quiet. Now that is the most difficult. How to craft information so that it is at least listened. If they are not acceptable, just listen as well. I hope it makes sense, Dr.
Yes, thank you very much. Now I open the floor for the Okay, we begin from here.
Thank you, Prof. I'm Dini, PhD Psychology. I've been your knowledge, 30 years ago, and I still apply whatever that you teach in the class. But I want to know how can the leaders repair the mistake after go through the leadership in the organization, and then how we want to rebuild a trust when we done some of the mistake and then we want to repair. How is it?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
To err is human, right? We always believe in this or hold to this idea. To err is human. Like the Arabic one is Kullu bani Adam khata. Yeah, so that principle is something that you have to hold. You must not hold the idea that you're always correct because you are a leader. Right? Yes, you correct by admitting it and also sharing it with your. We have this Kulliyyah management meeting, the 5 of us. Okay, we will share that we have made some, incorrect decision, or we have made some uninformed decision, for example. Okay, we need to have more information. So we correct it by having more information, or sometimes we consult it as well. Right? We always go to the sources. I think the word tabayun is something that we had practiced a lot. And that is why in many scenario or cases, we can immediately issue feedback or issue memorandum or answer because we need to do this clarification or tabayun in that sense. I think that's all.
But I think it's maybe take time.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. But you cannot buy the time so long. Yeah, you have to mobilize whatever you have to answer. Right, because in Malaysia, if people are not happy with you or university, they can write on Sisco. Sisco is a system, is a public complaint system, which they will write to the government, and the government will go to you. Like for example, if they complain against me, the government will write to me, and then I have to provide answer within 2 days, something like that. So in preparing the answer, I have to mobilize all the responsible and relevant parties. Yep. Bottom line is, you are in an office, but you must not personalize the office. Like when I say personalized office, sometimes we use the office to get something that we like, right? But similarly, when there are inconveniences or problematic scenario, you do not personalize as well. Then you also engage the whole office, because the problem doesn't come from you. Or if at all coming from you, Okay, do not personalize it. You have to be professional. Okay, quickly admit it. And then do corrective measure. Take corrective measures.
Thank you. And what's the advice?
Thank you so much. It was a very nice explanation about leadership, and leading. I think we need a clear distinction on all those things. You being in the field of psychology, it's always a concept called psychosocial behavioral development that we're always looking at. As a leader, I feel a leader is more pressurized in all these three dimensions. So in that case, how, if suppose someone, or we're training someone to become a leader, how do we encapsulate the concept of psychosocial behavioral dimension so that they don't break, and also strengthen them with iman? So can you give some advice on that?
Psychosocial, behavioral. In IIUM, we also have spiritual. Biopsychosocial spiritual approaches. Yes, I think you were here when we talked about the Tawhidic approaches. Right? We do not only address one phenomenon from one perspective, but from various perspectives. Okay, at least the four perspectives: the Quran, Hadith, Turas, empirical work, and then the local culture, local wisdom, and also scholars' view. Right? So in any subject that we discuss or that we teach, okay, we make sure that we do not only we are not being biased by only one source of information. Same thing when we are practicing, when we are having what we call that administrative practices, we listen to sources as well, or we allow ourselves to refer to sources as well, not only one. Right? The word engagement is something that I use just now. We engage. We do not only go to laws, we do not only go to rules, but we go also to what we call that scenario that the person is in, for example. Like rules and memorandum is released for public use, but there are some special scenario that require your attention. Right? So we would attend to this detail by having proper deliberation in that sense. For example, nowadays students have applied for online class for Ramadan. Right, so you have allowed like 2 weeks, right?
Correct.
Right? But people have written, asking for the whole month to be online, something like that, and they have given their reasons as well. So how do we judiciously reply to this, bearing in mind that our answer would be publicized too?
Yes.
Right. So one thing is, whenever there are comment, critiques, or opinions or inquiries coming to us over WhatsApp or over email, we choose not to reply with the content. We reply to thank for the message only. But the answer we don't reply because they will forward. It might be counterproductive to any parties.
Okay, we go first.
Thank you so much, Prof, for a very knowledgeable session. There was a section in the slides saying that the leader should be a knowledgeable person. And during your presentation, you have said that some people, the normal people, are happy when you give them money. So a knowledgeable leader is a criteria for leadership. So we do need a knowledgeable nation as well.
Knowledgeable?
Knowledgeable nation.
Yeah, yes.
Because if a qualified leader would step forward to be a leader, an unqualified person with a bunch of money, he step forward as well. So he's just distributing money, and he's getting the acceptance of people. The one who has the quality doesn't. So how can we can see this situation in many countries in the world? How can we balance such issues here?
Have you heard of transformational leadership?
Yeah.
Transformational leaderships are leaders who do not only lead, but they also transform their society or their citizens. You know, the last slides talk about develop citizenry. Yeah? You do not only develop your competency, but you also develop your society, your citizenry, even in your small organization, right? to be updated with knowledge. So that is why many organizations, they have tazkirah, they have training, so that they keep their people knowledgeable. Now, what happens if someone skip from any tazkirah, skip from any training? We are afraid that these people are not being updated with the acquired or the required knowledge or the aspired knowledge. So these people might cause problem to the organizations because their knowledge level are being left behind in that sense. Yes, you have to develop your knowledge, and one of the knowledge is to give knowledge to your people as well. Yeah.
Right.
That's why training and what you call that, coaching is important, and it has to be substantiated by knowledge.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Gasser Jibran and I am student of ISTEC, PhD student. So thanks a lot for. So I want to know, you mentioned in your lecture that there are a lot of educational person in Malaysia and on the world, but lack of values. So need more explanation what kind of values we have. And the other thing you mentioned that own motive and aim of the university is to produce leaders. So what type of leaders do you want? Political leaders, or what type of leaders we want here to become?
The first question is what kind of values, right?
Like,
What kind of values that we have to have in order to become leader? Okay, I think the current term that we are now using is humanity-centric leader. Humanity-centric leader. What's humanity-centric? Like you understand the word leader, right? Like you lead because you inspire, you motivate, you bring people towards meeting the goals. Okay? Country's goal, organization's goal, society's goal. Right? Humanity. What's humanity? What's humanity? That you are being good to other people. That's human. Right? Human-centric. But this is not human-centric. You are humanity-centric. What is there in humanity? When you talk humanity, what are the components of humanity? You have human. You have animal.
Yes.
Right? How do you lead animal? How do you make sure that you are also being good to animal? All right, so what else? Living things, objects, built environment, built environment. That you have to have good relationship with environment, with built environment, right? With other people, living thing, non-living thing, and also God conscious. God conscious. These are the values, right? So we learn all this from Quran, Hadith. We have to believe Quran, Hadith. Right? We have to also believe that Allah is always watching us. Everything that we do is recorded. That values must be there. Right? We learn about Islam, we learn about Iman, we also learn about Ihsan, right? Right. So we learn a lot about Iman. We learn a lot about article of Iman. We learn a lot about article of Islam.
Yes.
We need to also give more weightage to the understanding of Ihsan. That values. Before you do something, you have to remember that you want to watch Allah, but you can't see Him, right? But you have to bear in mind that Allah is watching you. That is God-conscious values. God-conscious values. When a leader have these God-conscious values, it would prohibit you or prevent you from indulging yourself or even making yourself close to any irregular behaviors. What more, sinful behaviors in that sense. Yeah? So those are the values. As I would say, God-conscious values is the most prominent, outstanding value that we have to always remind our people to have. Otherwise, inna salati wa nusuki wa mahya wa mati, not lillahi rabbil alamin, but ourselves. Yeah, so another thing is, these values doesn't have to be taught in classroom. You only tell them that, understand what you recite in your prayer. Al-Fatiha, that's enough. Right? Understand what you recite in prayer. Internalize it. And what are the purpose of those meaning? What are the implications of those meaning to your life in that sense? That will give you rich values. That will regulate and govern your behaviors. So there are many values which are naturally in us, but we do not realize, what more internalize. It's easy said, right? But difficult to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And the second part, what type of leaders we are going to produce here in this university?
I think those are the values that we want to what we call that nurture. God conscious leaders.
And
But then, inshallah.
This is no question, but I would like to get you more knowledge. You mentioned in your presentation that the good leader use their leadership power, influence to achieve the organization, the whole organization. Doesn't use the personal achievement and build content among the people. Nowadays, we are facing this situation. If we appointed as a leader at masjid, mufti at fatwa committee, or head of the department at university, how should we handle this situation? You already, mashallah, mentioned. I would like to get in more. This situation, how we handle it, how should manage this situation.
Yeah, I think the choice is in your hand as well.
Yeah.
You want to manage or you do not want to manage. Like some people do not want to manage because they know that managing it means you are extricating yourself from the system. That by addressing it, you are going to be sidelined or sidestepped in that sense. Yeah? So maybe good people, like just now I said, they have to find ways. On the surface, we might see that they are not doing what they should be doing, but subtly they might be doing something which we do not know. Like there are people who ask me, is he actually doing this because we know that his values is the opposite? Is he camouflaging? Camouflaging because he is managing the situation. Right, so some people, they hulil haq, okay, by camouflaging as well, because they go to the purpose, they go to the what you call that, the maqasid. They want to reach this, but the process might not look desirable to the public. Right? So you have to also study this from the political perspective. Yeah, because the term siyasah, the term siyasah is another complex actually exercise as well. Leadership and politics, you have to address them from I think two different perspectives. We're not talking about politics here, we're talking about leadership. Maybe we do not have leaders, but we have politicians in that sense. But yesterday I read about Sultan Ahmad Al-Fatih. Sultan Ahmad Al-Fatih, when he entered Istanbul, I think Rome last time, right? He went to Hagia Sophia. That he bought Hagia Sophia with his own money. He bought Hagia Sophia with his own money, and then only he turned it into a waqaf. And then he had a treaty, a letter saying that this is by Sultan Ahmad Al-Fatih, okay, turning it into waqaf so that it has to remain as a mosque until Yawm al-Akhirah, something like that. Yes. So because of that futuristic thinking, the government of Turkey has managed to turn it back into a mosque. Right? And that because of that letter, they managed to rebut all the negative claims by the West. So that was, I think, a good characteristic of a leader, was futuristic. He didn't only know, the context of his time and space then, but he also predict the future time and future space. He know that some of his ancestors would be doing khiyanah to the place in that sense.